Hello, my lovely students. A very hearty welcome to this mind-blowing platform, Physics Wallah. My name is Nupur Sharma, and today we are going to do a very beautiful poem. We are going to do the ball. Now, as the name suggests, it is about a ball, a simple ball. Now, a ball is a very simple thing. But this poem has a very deeper meaning, and that meaning is very close to our heart. It is about loss. Yes, in this chapter, we are going to talk about loss and how to cope up with that loss. Now, in our lives, we are, surrounded by worldly possessions. We are surrounded by a lot of materialistic things. And because of that, we tend to lose a lot of things. Sometimes we lose something or lose someone. Now, how we feel at that time, how bad we feel, how down we feel, and what helps us to stand up, what helps us to cope up with that loss, that we are going to learn through this beautiful poem. Now, let's start. Now, we'll have an overview. We'll also read about the poet of this chapter, then line by line explanation. Then we'll also discuss the theme, summary, and in the end, we are going to talk about the poetic devices. Now, a boy loses a ball. He's very upset. A ball doesn't cost much, nor is it difficult to buy another ball. Why then is the boy so upset? Now they are telling us that a boy loses a ball. Now, as I told you, that a ball is very, it's a very cheap thing. It's very, it's not very expensive. He's very upset. He's very upset. It doesn't cost very much. It's very simple to buy a ball. It is readily available. You can buy a ball anywhere. So why is he upset? Why is he upset over such a small thing? Now, read the poem to see what the poet thinks he has been lost and what the boy has to learn from the experience of losing something. Now, the poet sees it from a very different light. Now, the poet is trying to explain us that the boy is learning something from it. Everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Even this loss has a reason. Now, this boy loses a ball. It has a reason behind it. And that reason we are going to learn. He is telling us that do not say anything to the boy who has lost his ball. Let him deal it with, himself. And that we are going to see that how he does so. Now, about the poet, it was written by John Berryman. John Berryman, he was an American poet and scholar, and he is best known for dream songs. Now, John Berryman wrote dream songs in 1969, which were, a collection of 385 poems. There were 385 poems in that. And he also won Pulitzer Prize. He won Pulitzer Prize for his poems, for dream songs. And he also won National Book Award. So he's quite a famous poet. And he has written very beautiful poems, and Ball is one of them, and that we are going to learn about. Now, let's come to the poem itself. What is a boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go. Now, okay, before starting this poem, I want to ask you something. Have you ever lost something? Have you ever lost something very precious to you? It can be something or it can be someone. Maybe someone was very close to you. You used to love that person very much, or you used to love that thing a lot. But now it is not with you. How do you deal with it? For example, if we talk about the worldly possessions, there was a toy which was very close to you. You used to love that toy in your childhood. And when it got lost or when it got broken, you cried a lot. You could not cope up with it. You just kept on crying. And this happens with every kid. Every child in his, life, in his lifetime, he has a toy which is very close to the boy or girl, to the baby. So they cry a lot when it is not with them. Okay. Now, if you talk about your condition at this point, at this age, your mobile is very close to you. Your phone is very close to you. Now, if the phone gets lost, if the phone is not with you anymore and it gets lost or it gets broken, what happens to you? You feel very bad. You feel very bad. You think that, okay, there were so many memories which were attached with this phone. How can we cope up with it? You cannot, obviously, it's very difficult for you to cope up with it because it has a lot of memories. It has a lot of, things stored in it. It has a lot of, maybe it has a lot of photographs, it has a lot of songs which were your favorite. Now, obviously, it is very difficult to cope up with. Maybe your best friend, you used to, like a friend very much, and he used to be very close to you, but now he has shifted somewhere else. Okay, he's not living with you anymore. How would you feel? You'll feel, you'll feel very bad. You'll feel like, okay, everything is ended for me. I do not have that closest person with me. Now, how you will feel? Similarly, this happens with this boy. Okay, now the poet is asking, what is the boy now? He's asking, what is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go. Now the poet is asking. It would seem that as if the poet is standing somewhere and he is basically noticing the boy. He is basically noticing the boy, that what is boy doing? What is he to do now? What will he do now? The poet is quite concerned that the boy who has lost his ball, what will happen to him? He said that I saw it go. Now the poet is saying that I himself saw the ball going, merrily bouncing. The ball was merrily means happily. He's saying that the ball was happily jumping. Ball is bouncing, okay? Bouncing like this. The ball was bouncing down the street and then merrily over. There it is in the water. The ball was jumping on the ground and suddenly it went into the water. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. He is telling us. He is asking us not to ask the boy, not to tell anything to the boy. No need to say to the boy, oh, there are other balls. Okay? The boy has lost his ball. The boy has lost his ball, and he's saying that there is no need to say, oh, there are other balls, because this is what happens. This is what happens when somebody loses something. We tend to tell him that it's okay now, we'll buy another ball. Okay, oh, there are other balls in the world. Why are you fussing about this this single ball? This particular ball. Why is it so special? You do not need to make a lot of fuss about it. You just be happy. Oh, there are other balls. But the poet is denying. The poet is saying, no, do not say this to that boy. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. I would not intrude on him. Now, the poet is saying an ultimate shaking grief, ultimate shaking grief. It means that it was such a big grief. It was such a big, grief. What is grief? Grief is sadness. It is such a sadness. It fixes the boy. It fixes the boy. The boy is very sad. The boy is distraught. Yes, he is distraught because he has lost his ball. As he stands rigid, he's standing rigid. He's not moving. He's not moving. He's so stunned that he's standing like this, not moving. He is basically not moving. He is stationary. He is in a stationary position. Okay? Trembling. He has started to tremble. Trembling means shivering. He is also shivering. Staring down. He is looking. He is staring somewhere. Now, as I said, he's trembling. He's trembling because he has so much grief. You know what happens when you're very sad and you have, you have a startling experience. You are surprised. You are in a state of shock. What happens? You do not move. You are like this. You're just rigid. You cannot move. Now, this boy starts to tremble. He has so much, grief inside him that he starts to tremble. He starts to shiver. Now he's looking. He is basically staring down. He is just looking. All his young days. All his young days means all his childhood days. All his childhood days. He's thinking about his childhood days, where in the harbor, where in the port, he used to spend time with his ball. He used to spend time with his ball. Now he's looking that where his ball went. Now the poet is also saying that I would not interfere on him. I would not intrude. I would not intrude. I will not interfere. I will not say anything to the boy. Yes, the poet is focusing on this thing. The poet is specially saying, now I will not intrude on the boy. I will not say anything to him because he is in such a pain. He is in such a grief. He's in such a pain that he has started to tremble. He is thinking about his all his childhood days. Maybe the ball was very close to him, and on in all his life, all his childhood days he has spent with his particular ball. Now a lot of students ask me, a lot of students have a question in their mind that we have so many balls, why did the boy love that particular ball so much? Now if I think about my childhood, I had so many dolls. We had so many dolls, but there was one particular doll which was very close to me. Okay, which was very close to me. And similar thing happens with you. If you were a boy and you had a lot of balls, there was one ball, especially one ball which was very close to you. There was especially one toy which was very close to you. Similar thing happens with him. Maybe that ball was his favorite one. And when he loses his ball, he could not actually control his emotions. He had no control over his emotions. He did not know what to do. And the poet is also saying that I will not say anything to him. I will not interfere. Whatever he is feeling, I am not going to say a single word. A dime, another ball is worthless. Now he senses first responsibility. Now the poet is saying a dime. A dime basically here means a rupee. Okay, they're talking about a simple currency. They're talking about a very less amount. A dime here refers to a very small amount. A very small amount. He's saying that a very small amount. You should not say to him that the ball doesn't cost so much. It's just a dime. I will buy you another ball. Another ball I give you. It is worthless. It does not hold any value. Worthless means does not hold any value. It is of no use. It is of no use to the boy. Now he senses first responsibility. He senses first responsibility. He realizes. He is realizing. He realizes his first responsibility. In a world of possessions, people will take balls. Balls will be lost always. Now, the poet is basically trying to say that in a world of possessions, we live in a world of possessions. We have a lot of earthly possessions. We are surrounded by materialistic things. People say, okay, I have a house. If you have to define yourself, if you have to define your status in the society, what do you say? That I have a house, I have 2 houses, I have these many cars, I have these many bikes, I have these many mobiles and everything. You try to explain your worth by telling that how many earthly possessions you have. Or you say that, okay, I have a lot of friends. I have, a lot of loving cousins and aunts and aunties, aunts and uncles. So you try to explain your worth by telling that how many kind of possessions you have in the world. Now, in a world of possessions, because ball is also something that he used to possess. In a world of possessions, people will take balls. People will take balls. Balls will be lost always, little boy. Now he's trying to explain balls. Basically, he doesn't mean balls. He's basically trying to say that people are going to take valuable things. Valuable things or persons. People. The poet is trying to say that people, that everybody is going to take the ball from you. Everybody is going to, snatch a valuable thing from you. The valuable things are going to be lost in this world of earthly possessions. They are going to snatch somebody very close to you. Maybe it will not be with you. You have to hold up, boy. You have to understand this thing that you may lose something. You may lose something. You may lose someone. You must learn to cope up with this. Yes, you must learn how to deal with it. That is why the poet is focusing on this thing that I will not intrude, I will not interfere, I will not say anything. Let the boy learn. Yes, let the boy learn this thing that in a world of possessions, people are going to snatch away the things from you. People are going to take the things away from you, and you have to be okay with it. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. No one buys a ball back. No one buys a ball back. It means that anything which is very close to you, something which is very close to you, the people cannot bring that back. The people maybe can bring that ball back. That ball, that physical ball they can bring, but they cannot bring back your emotions. They cannot bring back your memory. Here, a ball means memories. People may buy a ball back to you, but the people cannot buy the memories that you have with that ball, the emotions that are attached with that ball, because money is external. Money is external. Money cannot buy the emotional things. They can buy the physical things. Money can buy physical things. What kind of physical things here we are referring to? There are two types of things in the world. There are two types of nouns: abstract and concrete. Now here, the ball is a concrete item. You can see the ball, you can touch the ball, you can feel the ball. That is why it is a concrete item. Now, person can buy a ball, but the memory is attached with it. The memories that you had with that ball, the emotions that were attached with the ball, they are very precious. They do not have any value. Money is not able to buy these things. Money cannot buy the abstract things. It cannot buy your emotions. It cannot buy your childhood back. It cannot buy your childhood memories. Whatever time you spend with that ball is very precious, and nobody can buy that back. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes the epistemology of loss. He is learning. Yes, the boy is learning something. He's trying to grasp whatever is happening, with him. He is trying to gain a new experience. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes. Here, his eyes are desperate. They are, ready to do anything. They are not able to express. His eyes are so much desperate. They are desperate to see his ball back. His eyes are desperate just to have the feel of the ball again, but they are unable to do so. He is learning the epistemology of loss, the science of loss, basically the theory of loss. He is learning how it is to lose something. How bad it is to lose something. He must learn. He must learn the theory of loss, how to stand up. Not only losing, but also how to stand up. How to stand up again, knowing what every man must one day know, and most know many days how to stand up. Now, this is also a line that you need to focus on. He is saying, knowing what every man must one day know. Every man on this planet Earth should know how to cope up with the loss, because obviously they are going to lose the things. They are going to lose someone. There is nobody in this world who is perfectly happy, who did not lose anything in his life. You have to lose. You have to lose. And how you stand up after that, and most know many days how to stand up. Most know. Not all the people know. Most know. He's focusing that every man loses, but every man doesn't know how to stand back. Yes. No, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of people who are not able to cope up with the loss. They go in depression. They're so much sad. They are not able to deal it, and they become so sad. They become so desperate and so distraught that their life is, divided into many parts. Their life is, broken. They are broken. They are broken. Their heart is broken. They do not know what to do. They are so much, depressed. They take counseling. They go to psychiatrist, and they take psychiatrist sittings. And because they are not able to deal with the loss. Now you have grown up. You know that he's not only talking about ball, he is also talking about a lot of earthly possessions. He's also talking about relationships. Maybe you are in a very beautiful relationship. You have a very beautiful relationship with your aunt, uncle, your relatives, your sister, your cousin, your parents. Now maybe one day you will lose someone. Maybe you're very close to someone in your family, and that person is no more. Maybe he is not even present in this world, or maybe he leaves somewhere, he goes to abroad, and you're not able to meet that person anymore. So how would you feel? How would you cope up with it? This poem is basically trying to explain. The poet is basically trying to say to you that, boss, this is going to happen, but you must learn how to deal with it. Now, themes. Let us talk about the themes of the poem. The poem has finished. We'll focus on the themes. Here, the first theme is loss. Yes, loss. Loss will happen. Firstly, you'll experience loss. Then you will grow up. You'll grow up. You'll grow up when you learn to cope up. And in the end, you will have a transformation. You will transform into a new person. You will transform into such a person who is okay with everything, who is okay with the loss, who has learned to deal with the loss, and who is ready to move on. Yes. After you have experienced the loss, and you learn to deal with it, you learn to cope up with it, you move. You move on. You move on in your life. You move on with the life, because life goes on. Life goes on. That you have to understand. You know, when COVID happened, when COVID-19 happened, there were a lot of people who had lost, very lovable people. They have lost someone very precious to their heart. People lost a lot of precious people in their lives, but, they learned to deal with it. They learned to deal with it. They learned that how life goes on, and they have to accept this information, and they have to move on with it, and they have to live with it. Okay, now let's move further. We are going to read the summary of the chapter. Now, if we talk about the summary is of two types. Here, if we translate it, there are two types of summaries, basically. There is a literal summary, and there is also a metaphoric summary. There is a symbolic summary. So, first is the literal meaning, how you translate it. Okay, if you basically look at the poem, you actually feel that, okay, it is about a ball, it is about a person, it is about a boy who has lost his ball, and he has to learn to deal with the, loss of the ball. But if you look at the metaphoric meaning, if you look at the symbolic meaning, then you understand that, okay, this poem has quite a deeper meaning. They are talking about something else. They are talking about a very deep meaning. Okay, now let's move further. We'll talk about both types of summaries. Now, this ball poem has been, talked about two. It is about two. It can have two perspectives. One is literal one, and the other is figurative or metaphoric. Firstly, we are going to take a look on the literal meaning. Yes, when we talk about the literal meaning is just a translation. What you understand just about after reading the poem. In a short summary of the ball poem, the writer has painted the picture around a little boy who has lost the ball, and that he was playing with. At one moment, the boy was very happy and cheerful while playing. Just in the next moment, he lost his ball, which must have slipped from his hand and fell into the nearby river. This is what we felt. This is what we felt when we read the poem. We thought that, okay, this poem is about a boy who has lost his ball. He was very happy when he was playing with the ball. Then suddenly his ball went into the river, and he was very sad about it. He was sulking about this issue that, okay, my ball went to a nearby river. This incident left the boy in a very sorrowful situation. There is no hope left for the boy to get the ball back. It made him feel really dejected and downhearted. Yes, the boy, it left it into a very sorrowful situation. He was very sad. He felt very dejected. He felt that, okay, there is no hope left. I cannot get my ball back. The ball was so close to my heart. Now I will never be able to see it again. Okay, he felt very downhearted. His heart actually sunk. Okay, so this is what we got from reading the poem. But now, if we look from the figurative point of view, as I told you, that ball here is a symbol. The ball here is a symbol of something. It is, figurative in meaning. It has a metaphoric meaning. The poet wanted to symbolize the ball as the joyful days of childhood. Yes, the ball is a metaphor for joyful days of childhood. It is a symbol of joyful days of childhood. It is not only about the ball, it is about the joyful days of childhood, which were filled with innocence. The life that we have in childhood when we are children, our heart is filled with innocence. We are very innocent, and we believe everything that is around us. We have another world. We live in another world. It is so happy. We are so much free in that. We do not have any responsibilities, and we are quite jumping with the prospects of playing and everything, of enjoying the life. Now, it was a sign of the entire childhood. With the ball falling into the harbor, all the childhood memories have gone down as well. Now, along with the ball, the childhood memories fell into the water. It also fell into the water, it also drowned in the water. That is why he felt so bad. It is not easy to get these days back once they are gone. Yes, once these things are gone, you are not able to get it back. You cannot get it back. The childhood days, once they are gone, you cannot get it back. As I told you, as it is written in the poem, that nobody buys a ball back. Here, there, ball when meant the childhood days, the memories, the innocence. As I told you, that money is external. Money cannot buy the abstract things. It cannot buy the memories. It cannot buy the emotions that were attached to that particular ball. That is why they are saying that it is very difficult to get those back. While the boy could get another new ball, it would never be the same. It would not bring back similar emotions and joy in his life. Obviously, he is going to get a ball back. Obviously, his elders are going to buy him a ball, but that won't be the same. That ball is not the same, because that ball is a ball. It would be a ball. It would not be the ball. Yes, it would not be the ball. That ball was the ball. It was a particular ball that the boy liked. But here in this case, it is going to be a simple ball. It is not going to have the same emotions, because that will not be the ball with with that ball. He hasn't played in his childhood. There were no memories attached to it. There were no emotions attached to his. This loss would prepare him to be more careful with the future, so that he won't lose anything which is invaluable to him. As the poet suggested, that he is sensing first responsibility. It means that he is becoming responsible. He is learning something well behind his desperate eyes, that okay, this is my first responsibility. I will be very careful in the future that I do not lose something which is very close to me. Okay, I let this ball go and I felt so bad. I'm not going to do the same in the future. I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to keep the things which are very close to me, close to my heart. The boy is learning to cope up with his loss upon suddenly losing his favorite thing. That was his favorite thing. He'll learn to be more careful in the future. It is the story of every human being who has to learn to deal with the loss of what he loves. Yes, it is the story of all the human beings. Every human being in his life, as I told you, has lost something or will lose something or someone very close to them, and they have to learn how to deal with it. They have to learn that how to cope up with it and how to move on with their lives and how to deal with it, because every person loves something or someone. And that is tend to it is not permanent. Everything is not permanent. Okay, so they have to learn to deal with it. Now, conclusion. What conclusion do we draw from the poem? The poem successfully describes how we may feel to lose someone that we love, and grow up eventually without it or them. Yes, the poem concludes in a very positive note, with a very positive note, that yes, we may lose something, we may lose someone, and we must learn how to grow up after losing them, and we have to grow up eventually without them or without it. Okay, so this is the conclusion. This is a very beautiful conclusion. They are actually teaching you that yes, it is possible. It is possible that you may lose something, but you have to learn to deal with it. Okay, now let's move further. Let's talk about the poetic devices. Okay, firstly, personification. It has a very strong case of personification. Personification is a figure of speech It is a figure of speech which shows attribution of a personal nature or human characteristic to something non-human. Now, you know what is personification, as the name suggests. When we compare an inanimate object or animal, or a bird, with a person, then it means personification. We give the characteristics of a person to it. Here in this poem, the poem is describing about a ball. It is just a ball. Now here we are saying that the ball is merrily bouncing on the street. Now the ball doesn't have any emotions. The ball is not a person that can jump. But since they are using that for a ball, it means that the ball has been personified. The ball has been personified because the ball doesn't have the tendency to, merrily bounce. That is why the ball is being personified. Now, metaphor. It is the literary device in which a word phrase is symbolically applied to a thing to which it is not literally applicable. Yes, metaphor. Metaphor is basically comparison words. They are comparison words when we use one word to compare the other word without, they do not have they are not synonyms of each other. The words are not synonyms of each other, but we use it to compare. For example, we compare a baby with a feather. We are comparing a baby with a feather. Now, baby and feather, they are not synonyms. They do not have exact same, meaning. But we have used feather to describe the baby because the baby is very soft. It is very light. Okay. So, that feather is going to be the metaphor for the baby. Similarly, here we see that ball here symbolizes possessions. Ball here symbolizes a possession. Ball here is also a metaphor. It refers to the childhood. It refers to the childhood of the poet, which is never coming back. The childhood of the poet is never coming back. So here, ball refers to that childhood. Ball here is a metaphor. Now, apostrophe. Apostrophe, it is a literary device in which a person is addressed who is either dead or physically not present. In the poem, the poet says, balls will be lost always, little boy. The boy is physically not present with the poet now. It may seem in the poem, many times it may seem in the poem that the poet is talking directly to the boy. He is talking directly to the boy. He is addressing to the boy, but the boy is not present with the poet. The boy is not present. He is not physically there with the boy. He is just imagining. The poet is imagining, and he has written his imagination in the poem. So this kind of poetic device is called apostrophe. Basically, he is imagining. Okay, now let's move further. Repetition, it is a literary device in which a word or a phrase is repeated. Okay, we know repetition. Here, what has been repeated in 2 lines. What is he to do? What is he to do? Repetition is very simple. When the word or a phrase is being repeated here, what is being repeated? That is why we have repetition here. Okay, alliteration. Alliteration, you know what is alliteration? Alliteration means the repetition of the consonant sound. The repetition of the consonant sounds. Here, okay, W has been highlighted. It is wrong. Here, H had to be highlighted. Let me correct it for you. Let me correct it. There is a small mistake. And I am going to correct this mistake for you so that you do not get confused. Wait. Okay. Who has lost his ball? Here, H. Okay. Again, a mistake. If I didn't mend this mistake, you are going to be confused your whole life. Now, let me make something very clear. Alliteration is where? When the repetition is in the starting of the word. Repetition is just in the starting of the word, as we can say here, has and his. H is in the starting of the word. Here, W and W is in the starting. It is also a repetition. It can also be called a alliteration. Buys a ball back. Okay, buys a ball back. Here, B is being repeated 3 times. Now, this deep is here. T is in the starting. Okay, M. M, M, M. Now, M, M, M is being repeated, but it is in the starting. Yes, it is in the starting. You can also see it. I have also made a YouTube short on this thing, the difference between alliteration and consonants. Okay, alliteration is always in the starting, and consonants, the consonant can be anywhere. It can be anywhere. It can be in the between the word. It can be in the end of the word. But here, it has to be always in the starting of the word. Okay. Let's move further. Enjambment. Yes, there is enjambment in this poem. It is the continuation of a sentence. What does enjambment means? It is a continuation of a sentence without a pause beyond the end of the line when there is no punctuation mark. When the line is being repeated to the next line, the line is being continued to the next line without the use of punctuation mark. That is enjambment. I saw it go merrily down the street. Now, enjambment is here, as when you look into the poem, you'll see the cases of enjambment. Okay, and you can let me know in the comments below. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the poem very well. Okay, and symbolism. We are left with symbolism. It is the use of symbols to represent ideas. Okay, symbolism is also there. And here, as we know that ball is a symbol here. Ball is basically a symbol here, and ball represents childhood, possessions, and even the father of the poet. If we look at a very deeper meaning, some of the people, some of the critics say when they read this poem, they're also saying that that ball is a symbol of the father of the poet. The poet is referring to his father. Maybe the poet lost his father. When he lost his father, he wrote such a poem, because he also said that when I was a child, I lost my father and I had to learn to deal with that thing. I had to learn to deal with that emotion as the boy learned to deal with his emotion. Now, okay, I hope that you enjoyed the poem very much. I did it so much, as it has a very deep meaning. Okay, and if you did not understand anything, you can mention in the comments below. Okay, now we'll meet in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care.